The rhythm of winter in South Bend used to be predictable, a quiet stretch wedged between bowl prep and spring optimism. But under Marcus Freeman, the offseason has become its own spectacle, a humming, restless ecosystem where roster building, staff evaluation, recruiting psychology, and culture maintenance all collide at once. It is the new normal for a program trying to operate like a modern powerhouse while carrying the weight of an old soul. And Freeman, now well past the point of being seen as the promising young coach and instead as the magnetic center of Notre Dame's next era, moves through it all with a steadiness that belies the storm swirling around him. The transfer portal window has exposed the truth about college football in 2025. Nothing is static. No roster survives untouched. No culture is immune to departures or temptations. And yet, inside the GUG, Freeman has created an environment where players feel heard, valued, and still accountable to something bigger than themselves. That doesn't stop the portal from knocking, of course. Every program loses talent. Every coach wakes up to news of a player entering the market, and Notre Dame has had its share of jolts. But what makes the current moment fascinating is the way Freeman and his staff respond. There's no panic, no public frustration, no impulsive countermeasures. Instead, there's a patient strategy, an understanding that the portal is both a threat and an opportunity, that departures create space, that space creates leverage, and that leverage, when guided by a clear philosophy, can reshape a roster faster than any off-season conditioning program ever could. Freeman's approach has become increasingly sophisticated, almost NFL-like in its intentionality. He treats portal evaluations with the same seriousness he gives film breakdowns in mid-October, leaning on analytics, character vetting, and long conversations with position coaches to decide which players truly fit Notre Dame's identity instead of simply patching holes. The Irish have quietly become one of the more discerning portal operations in the country, not chasing stars for the sake of star power, but targeting players who bring maturity, leadership, and an ability to elevate the practice field as much as the depth chart. That's the Freeman stamp. Football ability matters, but the person matters more, and if a player doesn't love the grind, doesn't embrace the academic pressure, doesn't want to be coached hard, then no amount of athleticism will justify the signing. This approach has changed the energy of the roster, giving veterans more ownership and newcomers a roadmap that feels less like a sales pitch and more like a blueprint. Even recruits and portal prospects who choose other schools often say the same thing. Notre Dame under Freeman is honest, it's demanding, it's intentional, it's real. Behind the scenes, the staff dynamics are just as compelling. Freeman has made it a priority to build a coaching room that mirrors the values he preaches: connectivity, humility, curiosity, the courage to evolve. It's why he obsesses over staff chemistry with the same intensity he uses to evaluate defensive fronts. Notre Dame's assistants know they're not simply play callers or recruiters, they're caretakers of a culture Freeman has invested himself into completely. Staff meetings aren't quiet, passive gatherings, they're debates, brainstorms, clinics, sessions where Freeman listens as much as he directs. And when adjustments need to be made, whether that's shifting responsibilities, refreshing a room with new voices, or parting ways with coaches who no longer align with the program's trajectory, Freeman handles it with the same blend of empathy and clarity that has endeared him to players. It's a maturity he's grown into, a confidence strengthened by the understanding that leadership isn't about avoiding discomfort, but stewarding it. The result is a staff that feels more aligned now than at any point in his tenure, a group unified by the mission of pushing Notre Dame from relevance to dominance. Yet none of this unfolds in a vacuum. The national landscape continues to tighten around Notre Dame, with NIL pressures, conference uncertainty, and competitive arms races pushing even the most stable programs into perpetual adaptation. Freeman knows the Irish can't simply rely on tradition. They must innovate, modernize, weaponize their unique identity instead of clinging to it. That's why he has leaned so aggressively into relationship-driven recruiting, why he has challenged the administration to match the ambitions of the roster, why he has insisted on building pathways for players who want to compete at the highest level without sacrificing the academic rigor that defines the university. It's a delicate balance, one that requires constant recalibration, but Freeman attacks it the way he attacked offenses as a linebacker, with conviction and a refusal to flinch. He recognizes the window for elite success is fragile, that every offseason decision, every position battle, every portal acquisition, every strength program tweak either pushes Notre Dame closer to a playoff breakthrough or exposes the gap the Irish have spent decades trying to close. Freeman's evolving role as CEO-style head coach has also affected how he thinks about roster sequencing. He talks openly about wanting not just the best players, but the right distribution of experience, leadership, and physical development. He wants freshmen who compete immediately, sophomores who grow into their bodies, juniors who understand the scheme instinctively, and seniors who can teach the younger players what it means to wear the uniform. It's why he's meticulous with portal additions. He won't sacrifice the growth of his freshmen just to land a flashy name. And when players leave, he doesn't sugarcoat it in the building. He addresses it openly, acknowledges the disappointment, explains the program's direction, and then shifts attention to those who stayed, those who want to fight, those who see opportunity in the churn. There's a resilience forming around that mindset, a competitive edge sharpened by the understanding that nothing is guaranteed, not playing time, not roles, not roster spots. It's earning-based football, and players have responded because Freeman lives that standard himself. Even inside the strength program, Freeman's fingerprints are visible. He has pushed for more individualized training plans, more sports science integration, and more cross-department collaboration, so players aren't just getting stronger, but staying healthier, staying explosive, staying consistent across a demanding season. He understands that Notre Dame's biggest enemy hasn't always been talent, but durability. Too many seasons derailed by injuries at key positions, too many late-year performance dips that kept the Irish inches away from greatness. Freeman refuses to accept attrition as football fate. He wants a program built to finish seasons, not just survive them. And in the trenches, that mindset has become the heartbeat of the team. Offensive linemen talk about how different the culture feels, how accountability has sharpened their pride, and how the new performance standards reflect the physical identity Freeman wants Notre Dame to embody every Saturday. As all of this unfolds, the national conversation continues to orbit around Freeman himself, the rising star who has become a gravitational force in coaching circles. NFL teams monitor him, rival programs envy him, recruits gravitate towards him, alumni and donors rally behind him, and yet, amid all the speculation and the external noise, Freeman remains anchored to the day-to-day work of building a roster that can withstand the chaos of modern college football. He spends hours meeting with players one-on-one, checking in not just on football, but on academics, mental health, family life. He believes in holistic leadership, in the idea that players who feel seen perform better, stay longer, grow deeper roots. That human touch has become one of the program's strongest recruiting tools, a differentiator in a sport increasingly defined by transactional relationships. For Freeman, connection isn't optional, it's structural. The portal hasn't softened his faith in long-term development, but it has forced him to evolve. He used to preach patience unequivocally. Now he preaches competitive urgency balanced by emotional intelligence. He tells his players that the portal isn't something to fear, but something to understand, something to navigate strategically rather than emotionally. And when Notre Dame does lose players, Freeman resists the temptation to moralize. He acknowledges the reality that young men have complex motivations, playing time, NIL, proximity to home, fresh starts, and he refuses to take any departure personally. It's a perspective shaped by experience and by the recognition that the best programs adapt rather than complain. The result of all this, Portal maneuvering, staff refining, cultural sharpening, strategic evolution is a Notre Dame team quietly positioning itself for the next leap. They're deeper in key spots, more intentional in their developmental pipeline, more aligned in their internal processes. Freeman has learned to operate less like a coordinator elevated into a high-pressure role and more like a seasoned CEO guiding an enterprise through rapid-fire challenges. His voice has strengthened, his decision-making has sharpened, his presence has settled into something unmistakably authoritative, yet still grounded in the authenticity that made him a rising star in the first place. And yet, the beauty of this moment for Notre Dame is that nothing feels finished. The story is still being written, the roster still forming, the staff still molding its identity, and Freeman still growing into the coach who believes the Irish are capable of more than national teasing. They're capable of national contention. His journey mirrors the program's journey, relentless, imperfect, ambitious, resilient, fueled by a belief